Alex Maskey, your reaction to the carving up of the housing executive?
Well, I don't accept the term carving up of the housing executive. We're moving into a new era in regard to housing. Clearly, the housing executive has been a very important mechanism for delivery of housing for many, many years now. And we all do, of course, know the history of housing, where there's discrimination in housing and so on. So the housing executive was formed 4 decades ago, I think, to tackle the whole issue of discrimination in terms of housing allocation. To deliver more houses and obviously to have a campaign of slum clearance. So a lot of work has been done in the last number of years, and a lot of very good work has been done over the last number of years, but we have a lot yet to do. We have not yet met the housing need, so therefore I'm looking forward with this new opportunity now to move housing into the next 20, 30, 40 years, because we clearly have to build more houses and under the current rules and regulations we cannot do that. So therefore for Sinn Féin our priority will be to build more houses that people will need to live in. We also have to make sure that those houses are allocated on the basis of need. Now there are a lot of other issues around that, and of course there is much deliberation yet to be done on this whole complex issue, not least the fact that we have a lot of expertise within the housing sector built up over the last several years. We want to retain that. We want to satisfy the workforce, for example, in the housing sector, that their jobs aren't all going to be lost, that they are part of this new set of arrangements, and obviously they will have to be fully consulted in regard to all that. So this should be a new opportunity to move into the next number of years and deliver more houses for those who clearly need new homes.
But there clearly is a worry that jobs will be lost in the breakup of the housing executive, even though they will have another regional body.
Well, there will be a new housing body, because clearly the need still remains. In fact, what part of the proposals here is designed to do is to make sure we can actually build and provide more social houses. So clearly you would argue there's even a greater need for the current workforce, and perhaps even more. So obviously our priority here is to work with the expertise that we have developed within the housing sector, in particular the housing executive. So this is not about a carve-up of the housing executive per se. As far as we in Sinn Féin are concerned, the Minister will be very clear about this. The housing executive themselves support these new recommendations and new suggestions. So a lot of detail to be worked out yet, but this is about building more homes for those out there who are in need of them, allocating those houses on the basis of need, and then making sure that we have rent policies and so on which are set within a political framework. In other words, that people's rent or increases or whatever will not be just subject to what's called market forces. So a lot of issues yet to be ironed out in this, a lot of public consultation, and of course legislation. So let's look at this on a positive opportunity basis, and we are of course guarded against the potential negatives, and we don't want to have political interference in housing again in the way in which we had many decades ago. We want to make sure that houses are allocated on the basis of need. In other words, when families need homes, then they're entitled to get a house. So we have all that work to do in front of us, and I'm confident that we can make a good job of this.
How concerned are you that funding will be kept at ministerial level, and therefore there could be political ramifications from that?
Well, part of the rationale between changing the whole structure of the housing executive is the fact that we need to be able to borrow more money. I mean, the executive cannot fund the necessary budget for the housing that we need, so therefore we have to find new ways of doing that, and we will look at the precise mechanism that the housing executive will transform into. So this is really a restructuring of the housing executive, and I actually would call it the housing executive Mark II, because this is about, as I've said, finding a way of securing new money for the building of social housing. But it again is very much within the political policy of providing houses to those who need them, and that has to be our priority in the time ahead.